Okay, welcome back everyone. Again, Dr. James Broomall from Shepherd University, and here today with me is Rich Condon, who is a park ranger at Flight 93. And for those of you who have not been to Flight 93, I'll say it's one of the most powerful sites I've probably ever been to in my life. Just an incredibly compelling landscape and just a moving interpretive program. And Rich was kind enough to show me around when I was up there. Rich also is very active on the web. He is the genius behind Civil War Pittsburgh, and you're also starting a new endeavor. Is that correct? With one of our guests that we had yesterday, Jake Wynn.
Yeah, Jake Wynn and I and Kendrick Gibbs and Cody Ish have all kind of combined forces. You know, all of us being from Pennsylvania, we decided one day why not have a a Pennsylvania Civil War history amalgamated in a blog. So we've recently started this project and it's ongoing. We'll be doing live video feeds and more blog posts here in the near future, as well as more stuff for Civil War Pittsburgh.
Fantastic. And Rich today is going to connect his narrative to the one that Dana Schoaf offered us yesterday. So there's going to be some nice points of connectivity in the interpretation. And but before we get there, you're going to kind of orient us on the landscape. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So right now, we're actually filming here on what is known as Munshower Hill, or formerly people would call this a lower extension of Little Round Top. Out in the distance there you can see Houck's Ridge, and further down would be Devil's Den. We have Little Round Top sitting right over here next to us. And down in the swell here, down in the valley, is Plum Run, which after July 2nd, 1863 would probably be known to many people as the Valley of Death. There's going to be a lot of action, a lot of carnage happening right here in this small area.
And just to orient, if we've had some consistent viewers, we're at the site of the first 93rd Pennsylvania Monument, of which Dana spoke yesterday, and we're looking down into the valley where we were yesterday filming for the second monument for the 93rd Pennsylvania and the Weichert Farm. So just some orientation if you've been tuning in over the past couple days.
Yeah, so you have the first 93rd Pennsylvania Monument behind camera right here. Have the newer monument, or newish monument, right over the hill here, and the Weichert Farm is off to our right over in the distance that way. So we're here today talking about the Pennsylvania Reserve Corps and the action they're going to see here later on July 2nd, 1863. So to understand the Pennsylvania Reserves, many people may not know why they're called the Pennsylvania Reserves. The Pennsylvania Reserves were recruited in 1861 when Abraham Lincoln put out his call for 75,000 troops. Pennsylvania supplied that need very quickly, and there was a surplus of troops. These became known as the Pennsylvania Reserves. It was 13 infantry regiments, 1 regiment of cavalry, and 1 regiment of artillery, 1 battery of artillery. And these guys are going to see heavy action throughout the war, especially in 1862. They're going to be at South Mountain, the Peninsular Campaign, be at Antietam. They're going to take very heavy casualties at Fredericksburg in December of 1862 as well. And what this does, this actually directly affects them, these amount of casualties they're taking and not replenishing their ranks. So the Pennsylvania Reserve Corps is actually going to go into the defenses of Washington in February of 1863 and kind of lick their wounds for a few months. And this is actually where they're going to be when they eventually hear about Robert E. Lee's invasion of Pennsylvania. In early June of 1863, Samuel Crawford, a regular Army man, is going to assume command of the Pennsylvania Reserve Corps. And as these men start to learn that Robert E. Lee is moving further north into Pennsylvania, into their home state, some of these guys actually start to petition to rejoin the Army of the Potomac. So I have here actually an order that was drafted by some members of the 2nd Pennsylvania Reserves in late June of 1863. We, the undersigned officers of the 2nd Regiment Pennsylvania Reserve Corps, having learned that our native state has been invaded by rebel force, respectfully ask that you will, if it be in your power, have us ordered within the borders of our state for her defense. Under McCall, Reynolds, Meade, Seymour, and yourself, we have more than once met and fought the enemy where he was at home. Now we wish to meet him again when he threatens our homes, our families, and our firesides. Could our wish in this be realized, we feel that we could do some service to the state that sent us to the field, and not diminish if we could not increase the luster that already attaches to our name. So these guys are pretty hell-bent on getting back to Pennsylvania. Yeah, oh. They're getting back to Pennsylvania, and in late June they are going to be sent further north.
And there's this urgency that I think maybe, I don't know if Lee underestimates, but I mean there's this fierce determination for many of the Union soldiers that are on home soil for maybe the first, but perhaps the second time because of the Maryland campaign.
Yeah.
Which I think that you just speak to so well there.
Yeah, and picture also the Company K of the 1st Pennsylvania Reserves recruited exclusively from Adams County in the Gettysburg area. Right. So these guys are literally fighting around their homes. Yeah, they can see their houses from this battlefield. One of the members of the 13th Pennsylvania Reserves, also known as the Bucktails, Charles F. Taylor, commander, is going to write home on June 24th before they start to move. Sister, we have last orders to prepare to move at a moment's notice. I think we'll join Hooker's army. We are busy turning in tents, reducing baggage, preparing rations. I shall write you whenever an opportunity may offer. Your last letter received yesterday. I presume we shall have a stirring campaign. I am very glad of it. We have been here long enough. Love to all.
And I think there, we have this insight into those preparations the soldiers begin to make before they embark upon the campaign, taking off spare baggage.
Very excitedly.
Yeah, very excitedly. Some anticipation, some excitement, perhaps anxiety as well for the unknown. Yeah. But just the whole almost air seems to change, right?
Yeah.
In the midst of the campaign season.
And these guys are going to move very shortly after up toward Frederick. Actually, they arrive in Frederick near the Monocacy River on June 28th. Just as General George Meade is taking command of the Army, who is the former commander of the Pennsylvania Reserve Corps, ironically. So they're going to be placed under the command of George Sykes' Corps, the 5th Corps, and that's who they're going to be under when they're fighting here at Gettysburg. On July 2nd, 1863, the Pennsylvania Reserve Corps and the 5th Corps are going to arrive here in the field late morning, early afternoon, out near the Baltimore Pike. And it's actually there where they're going to receive orders to come out to this spot. You can kind of see out in that direction on the northern face of Little Round Top. They're eventually going to form up at that point. Their commander at that point, Samuel Crawford, is going to line them up on that side of the hill, and it's there where they see the situation quickly devolving here in the Plum Run Valley, where they see their own men starting to run back in their faces. Men of Dan Sickles' 3rd Corps are retreating through. The U.S. regulars who are out in that distance over there are starting to retreat through, and they have Confederates hot on their heels. And then can we cut and do down there?
Yeah, so I think what we want to do now is probably move locations, and so we're going to go ahead and stop and pick up the narrative as we move down to the area of the valley and near the monument of the Pennsylvania Bucktails. So
yeah.
Thank you all very much for tuning in on this segment, and we're going to pick it up in just a couple minutes' time.